Hey everybody, what's up? It is Chris Alicia, aka Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today we're doing a book haul. So I tried not to buy books if possible. I definitely utilize a library, but I'm also the type of person that if I really love a book, I kind of want it forever and ever. I don't reread as much, but that's something I want to get back into. So I thought if I'm going to reread, might as well have some of my favorite books in my collection. So I do have a couple that I need to open up. But most of them, for the most part, are already unpackaged because I bought them in independent bookstores while I've been traveling around. So yeah, we're actually gonna go ahead and start off with my first one. It is from Book Depository, as you can see. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy open. So my first book is my all-time favorite book, and that is Radio Silence by Alice Osman. If you know me in real life, I have told everybody and their moms to read this book. I absolutely love it. It is a queer young adult contemporary novel. It really focuses in on platonic friendship, mental health, and fandom culture. So I'm really excited to have this in my collection. I specifically ordered it from Book Depository. First of all the other bookstores I went to didn't have it in stock, but they didn't have this cover, and this is my favorite cover of it. So happy to finally have this with me. Next pile of books is going to be the books that I've purchased off of Pango Books. If you don't know what Pango Books is, it is basically an online book selling / buying app that you can post your used books on and sell them to other people that are looking for that specific book. You can go ahead and post it so that you're able to sell directly to other readers and buy from other readers as well. And that way you don't have to buy brand new books. You can support other people and add it to your library and vice versa. So I'll go ahead and open up the package that I received. I already know what's in here. It is another one of my favorite books, and that is House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is young adult / new adult magical realism fantasy, like light fantasy. It is very found family focused. It's a little queer, which we always love in books. Read this if you get the chance. Absolutely love it. I'm glad to finally have it in my collection. Next up, we have Dominicana by Angie Cruz. Absolutely loved this. This is adult historical fiction, and it follows the immigration story of the main character, and you get little pieces of her life throughout, from her being a teenager up till her being an adult, and her immigration story from the Dominican Republic and to New York. And then last but not least, for my Pango Books haul, it is The Wicker King by Kay Ingram. Kay Ingram has me by the neck. I will read any book in this universe that she puts out. This is, again, another YA contemporary. It focuses heavily on friendship, found family vibes, very mental health focused. It always gets categorized as like fantasy or like magical realism, but it's not. But it does have some of those elements. So if that's something that you're interested in, 10 out of 10 would recommend. But also, like, come on, why wouldn't you want to read this? It's perfect. Next up, a couple of you know that I just spent some time in Portland for this like campus partners thing with Nike. Super great, loved the experience. But one of my favorite things is being able to go to Powell's Bookstore, which is another independent bookstore, but it's also the largest bookstore in the United States, which is really dope. And I bought two of my favorite books that I read this year, and the first one is For Brown Girls with Sharp Edges and Tender Hearts by Prisca Dorques Mujica Rodriguez. This is mujerista nonfiction. It talks about feminism, but very much so through a race, gender, and historical cultural context. Again, one of my favorite books this year. Is probably going to be on my top 5 to 10 books of the year. So love this, glad to have this in my collection. Will probably read again by the end of the year. Up next, we have Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lo. I read this really recently. It is a queer YA historical fiction. It follows Lily coming to terms with her sexuality and basically how she went about doing this, and it all takes place at the Telegraph Club. Absolutely love this book. I've told everyone to read this, and if you're looking for a wonderful sapphic novel to read during June, I would definitely recommend this. Keeping on with books that I bought at independent bookstores, we have this bookstore where I'm from called the Book Loft. A couple of my students got me a gift card there because they know how much I love reading. reading. So again, decided to pick up a couple of my favorites, and actually a brand new book that has been on my list for a while. And it was recommended to me because as one of those books, like if you love radio silence, you'll love this. So I had to pick it up. But first, we'll start with the books that I've already read. And the first one is I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica L. Sanchez. It's described as a coming of age story that deals with mental health, but also from, you know, that first generation perspective as the daughter of Mexican immigrants. I read this at the end of last year, I believe, but I definitely related to the main character, as annoying as she was sometimes, but I wanted it in my collection, especially because I believe Netflix is adapting this. So I wanted to definitely give it a read before that comes out. Next up, we have The Magic Fish by Chen Li Wen. This is a middle grade to YA queer graphic novel. It is contemporary, but it also does have a fairy tale element with 3 different parallel storylines taking place, one between our main character, one with his mom, and then one is a fairy tale perspective. So just to give you a quick glimpse, gorgeous art, absolutely love it. It's a queer story, so if you're trying to add some more queer graphic novels into your repertoire, 10 out of 10 would recommend this one. And then the last book I picked up from the book loft is actually the one I haven't read, and it is called Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I have no idea what this book is about really, so let me check my notes. It is a YA contemporary with strong emphasis on mental health and online fandom culture. I have purposely not really looked into what this is about just because I don't want to fully spoil it for myself. But again, it was recommended as a book to read if you really liked radio silence. Like at the top, you can see it says a love letter to fandom, friendship, and the stories that shape us. That sounds right up my alley. As you can see, for the most part through all the other books, I'm not really into heavy romance books, but I do love me some strong friendships. So definitely excited to read this one. Next up, we have some books that were kindly sent to me by Seal Press. I am a Seal Press ambassador, so you will probably see me posting a couple things on Instagram about it, but these two are both nonfiction books. First one is Sexed Up, How Society Sexualizes Us and How to Fight Back by Julia Serrano. I've started reading this. I am about halfway through and I've really been enjoying it so far. It is queer feminist nonfiction through the lens of a trans woman. The author gives a lot of anecdotes about her life while she lived as a man and then her life now being able to live as a woman. So really enjoy this so far. Hoping to finish up in the next couple weeks. So look out for my review on this one. Next up, we have The Power of Dignity, How Transforming Justice Can Heal Our Communities by Judge Victoria Pratt. This is nonfiction with a focus on race, politics, and law. Again, I don't know too much about this. I remember reading the description when they initially sent out blurbs about each of the books that we could select, but it definitely called to my attention, especially with a lot of the racial issues that currently are taking place in the United States and have been taking place in the United States for ever. So definitely want to read this soon and kind of get the insight of someone who has been on all sides of these issues. So again, look forward to this review. And then last but not least is kind of an interesting one that I randomly got. This has been on my radar for a really long time, but it has been a while since I really picked up a self-help book. I received this at a dinner thing that I went to a couple months ago, and their featured speaker talked a lot about grit and this book in particular. So he had gifted all the attendees this book. So this is Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. A lot of you probably already know what this is, but again, it's been on my radar, so I've been wanting to read it for a really long time. This is basically a self-help book centering leadership, productivity, and personal development. So really excited to read that. So this is my little book haul. Here are all the books that I've gotten in the past couple months. Again, I'm not a big book buyer, and this is hopefully the most books that I will have in my physical permanent possession for a really long time. But again, if I'm buying books, I'm buying my favorites. So really excited to have all of these. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will leave you with this question. So what do you all think about this? I've been thinking about this a lot like in the past couple weeks, and I need other opinions. So in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you have Thanos snapping and half the world like just disappears. But like, what happened after that? Like immediately after the snap, did people just like go home from work? Like, how long do you think society like temporarily closed down to just be like, yo, collect yourselves, we are all in this shared traumatic experience, right? But my real question and I need y'all to follow me on this and think about this, is if half the world just randomly disappeared and you have no way to track who left or who was like vanished or disappeared in that short amount of time, how many people do you think took that opportunity to like just reinvent themselves? Like, how many people do you think were like, yo, this is my time to like just leave where I am and go to the other side of the world and just start over? Like, there has to be at least one person that did that, and I have to imagine that out of the 3.5 billion people left in the world, that at least a few thousand people did that. And like, if that was the case, if they did that, like what happens when everyone reappeared? Did they just kind of go about their days in their new lives, or did they have to think, damn, I guess I have to go back? Like, what happened? What happened? And then a follow-up question to that, now that there's additional resources, was inflation fixed? Or because we still live in a capitalistic society, like they were like, nah, all these resources are there, but now we don't have the people to do these things? Like, what do you think happened? Like, please let me know in the comments down below, because I need someone to talk about this with, and I feel like anytime I bring this up to someone, they just look at me like I'm crazy. Like, no, these are things I think about, and I need someone to talk to me about that with. But I hope you enjoyed the book haul. I hope you enjoyed this question, because this has been sitting on my heart for a while. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like this bookish content, but also this random chaos at the end, go ahead and hit subscribe. But that is the end of this video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.